right, war number 3, we're up against Chaos, and you guys can see there that they banned Omega Red, Kingpin, and CGR. I think pretty good bans. I think CGR is an automatic ban at this tier, so good for them. All right, I'm bringing in my rank 4 Ant-Man this war for one fight in particular, one placement in particular. We'll talk about that once we get there, of course. But you'll be surprised to know that I've got the only rank 4 Ant-Man in my battle group, but not the only one in the Alliance. Because of that, I was kind of locked into my Section 2 path with Ant-Man. And then because of that, I just have to build out my attack team with attackers that can take surrounding fights. So I'm also bringing in a rank 3 Human Torch and a rank 3 Magneto. And then in Section 1, it's essentially where can I use my attack team that makes sense. And I'm going to end up taking this Valkyrie. Valkyrie is metal. And yeah, this is a rank 5 Valkyrie. I don't advise placing a rank 5 Valkyrie on defense because she's not likely to get a kill. And she's so valuable on attack, especially for this global. But mad respect. You're obviously more likely to get a kill with a rank 5 than a rank 4. So you know, to each their own. But all right, so all I'm doing here is I'm going to try to build up my prowess, get to an SP3, and one-shot her. You guys are going to see throughout this fight and throughout this war that I am not playing well. And the easiest way to describe it, and players know the feeling, is you're just kind of out of rhythm. Here I try a light for spacing into my heavy, and that doesn't work. I'm just a little bit too late. So I'm just, yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of out of rhythm, in a funk, whatever you want to call it. But at this point, we need to clear. I have 2 fights that are blocking other people. Yeah, I just need to get the job done. So this is not a difficult fight. There she finally purifies one of my stuns. And we're just going to bait this SP2. She doesn't have any Pierce buff, so I'm just going to block it. It doesn't do a ton of damage. I think it does like just a 5% damage. I'll take that, no problem. Get to my SP3, and now I can start charging my heavy attack. If she attacks me, not a big deal. I'll just take the hit with the Unstoppable. And I'm at 36 prowess with this SP3. That'll be good enough to one-shot her with class advantage and stuff. Alright, the next fight is an Absorbing Man on node 26. That's Conflictor and Hazard Shift Shock Bleed. This is really good placement for Absorbing Man in my opinion because it makes it more difficult to use a champ like Human Torch. I haven't tried it, but I don't think that Thing is a good option just because of his low attack and Absorbing Man's general resistances. But, alright, here's the deal. The initial plan was for me to use Torch with Flame on, Guidance so that I could parry freely without triggering Conflictor, and Odin Shock Resist. We had a player in Section 1 kind of have an emergency and essentially was not able to finish the war. So we had to reassign some things. We had to move some things in Section 2 around. My person that was going to place Guidance and Odin Shock Resist had to go to Path 5, which is obviously not on this side of the map. So I had to take this without Guidance and Odin Shock Resist. I changed my masteries. I maxed out Energy Resist. Fortunately, the bleed here is it just doesn't do a lot of damage anyway. So it's not really a huge deal. Now all I'm going to do here is bait his SP1s and heavy punish them. If you heavy punish his SP1s, you prevent him from gaining morph charges, which are those charges that are at 36 underneath his health bar. Alright, and here you guys are going to see me make a hilarious mistake. I lose 60% of my health. I'm a little late on the heavy punish. He parries me with Stand Your Ground. He gives me a nice little combo, and I lose 60% of my health. Drop from 90% to 30%. So, honestly, after that, I was just happy that I didn't die. But it never feels good to get your ground stood, if you will. All right, our backup was initially going to take this fight with his rank 4 Nimrod, but that backup was needed on another path, of course. So I'm taking this with Magneto, and you know, I kind of think that this placement is specifically to counter Magneto or take him off the list of viable counters. It's a very stressful fight with Magneto. You can't parry heavy because of one eye open. And then you can't really charge your prowesses once he goes berserk because he's going to be incredibly aggressive and he's going to be passively unstoppable. So he has 17 rage charges underneath his health bar. Once he throws a special attack or reaches 25, then he's going to activate Berserk mode. He'll go passively unstoppable for a second, you guys can see there. And then for the entirety of Berserk, he's going to be passively unblockable. Now every time I hit him, he's gaining those red rage charges. The only way that they fall off is if you don't hit him. So, ideally, you don't hit him, they fall off, they reset, he is not passively unblockable anymore, and then you can start charging your heavy. The problem is, he's super aggressive, so you can't just back off. So, I'm trying in real time to kind of figure out how I'm going to approach this. I do fortunately feel really comfortable fighting Weapon X. He's also, because he's so aggressive, he's very easy to intercept, so he's less dangerous than a normal unblockable defender would be. That would be unpredictable. He is at least predictable, which is good. Here I make the decision, here in a second, that I'm just going to stand in my corner and I'm just going to Quake him. Now I've actually got a lot of experience literally using Quake against him, and I think that helps for a scenario like this, but here you guys can see I'm just going to try to Quake him in the corner. And the reason is I just want those rage stacks to fall off so that I can start blocking. Now I can bait his heavy, dex it, counter it with my heavy. That's going to give me an additional prowess. And here in a second, I'm going to just start charging up those prowesses because I'm at 3 bars of power. I just want to try to build them up as much as I can so that I can throw in SP3. Here I go. 4 is good enough. Double it to 8, double it to 16, double it to 32, and then here I'm just going to add a couple more and throw my SP3. This isn't going to one-shot him, but the bleeds afterward are going to finish him off. So, a very stressful fight. You know, I actually felt like pretty. You know, I said earlier in the video that I was feeling off this war, and I was. But after this, I was like, you know what? I'm glad that I got through that because you know. I could have freaked out and the initial plan wasn't kind of working as I thought in my head and all that stuff, but I don't know. Alright, this is the fight that I brought Ant-Man for. It's a rank 4 Spider-Man Supreme on node 45. This is great placement for Spider-Man Supreme. You see him here very often. A lot of people will use Thing against him, but Thing can gain buffs. So any medium that he throws is going to activate Astral Form for a couple seconds, and the big thing with Spider-Man Supreme is if you can activate buffs, his entire kit is built around placing buffs on you and punishing you for those buffs with burst damage on his SP2. If you can't gain buffs, like Ant-Man, Spider-Man 99, Titania, or Red Guardian, then you can almost completely eliminate his entire kit. And then of those 4 buff immune champs that exist, the only one with native immunities is Ant-Man. One of those immunities is Shock. The other one is Poison. So this lane is Hazard Shift, Shock, Bleed. Ant-Man is Shock immune. That's the first phase that you have to deal with on this node. So that's 12 seconds where I can just literally parry and combo. Now the way to play Ant-Man since his buff is to... You want to build up your pin particles, you can do that just by hitting him. You can also do that by dexing or triggering a buff, or would be triggering a buff even though you don't gain buffs. And then you want to throw your SP1. Each hit of your SP1 is going to inflict a fatigue debuff, and then you go to your SP2, and you convert those fatigues into poison debuffs. Alright. So here, we waited out the bleed phase. We're in shock phase again. We're going to go ahead and throw our SP1. We inflict him with fatigue. Anytime we're gaining a new pin particle, we're pausing our fatigues. And you can also like light intercept to pause them or refresh them as well. So that, you know, that helps, but you usually don't have to do that because it's pretty easy to gain pin particles, and those fatigues do last a fairly long time. Alright, so here I'm just going to throw my SP2, and we're going to convert those into poisons. You guys can see that they're ticking for 1700, so that's 34 damage per second, or 3400 damage per second. There he throws his SP2. It still does pretty good damage, a lot more damage than I thought. Even without having gained any buffs in this fight, it does some burst damage. But that damage gets insane if you've gained buffs. So anyway, Ant-Man just simplifies that fight. And for me, simple fights are always going to be, you know, at the top tier in terms of like counter and matchup options and stuff like that. Other options for that fight are going to be Valkyrie is a very strong option for that fight. If you're going to use Valkyrie, you know, you can just use Spider-Man 99 with the anti-venom synergy, and then, you know, in a pinch you can use Thing. He's just a little bit more dangerous because he gains buffs, and you'll have to deal with his astral force. All right. So we did initially have a Scorpion coming over this side that could have taken this fight, but that person had to go to a different path because of our Section 1 issue. And so I'm taking this with Human Torch, and you know, all right. So this is, first of all, this is one of the best places to put Rintrah because every time he fills a bar of power, he's going to gain a buff from the node, and he is going to neutralize you. It's like 60% or something like that chance to neutralize, which is pretty high. That's per hit. So if you do a combo into him, the odds are very strong. 99% he's going to inflict a neutralize on you, so you can't really gain buffs. This node has Rich Get Richer. There he's got he's got 2 buffs, so he's gaining power from the node. Every time a buff is prevented by neutralize, he gains a power gain buff. And one of the keys to Rintrah is to keep his mystical charges low. You want to keep him under 10. You do that by knocking him down. Every time you knock him down, he loses 5. And yeah, I don't know. He just gets more complicated if you don't do that. And you guys are going to see that come into play. Also, these ruptures are kind of ticking me down a little bit. And then just because of the buffs that he's gaining, the Fury buff, the Precision buff, he's doing sizable damage through the block. So you guys can see I haven't taken a single hit in this fight yet, and we're down to 40%. There, a little combo takes me down 11% further, and he's at 18 mystical charges. All right. I had I had used 1 invulnerability charge. I had 2 left. But because he was at 18 mystical charges, he was stun immune. I assumed my parry to throw a heavy. He threw his heavy. That used up my last 2 invulnerability charges. He was at an SP3. He throws the SP3, and this is going to be a death. So, decent little learning experience here. Just a lot of stuff going on in this fight. A lot of moving parts. Rintrah has a ton of health. He's also got a ton of energy resist. Human Torch without Nova Flames is not the best option. The best option for that node right there is a Spider-Man 99 with anti-venom synergy. He wasn't available. I think Scorpion is a better option there as well because you can neutralize the defender's buffs with the globe or with the attacker tactic anytime you throw a special, and obviously you will apply a taunt with your SP1s with Scorpion, so you can kind of keep his power under control. And then after that, maybe Torch with, after that probably honestly is Archangel, and then maybe Torch with Flame On, and I don't know where Torch without Flame On comes in, but definitely not one of the top 3 options. So it's definitely unfortunate. It is what it is. I thought that I was going to get through this season without dying, especially after that Weapon X fight. I was like, all right, man, I just feel like I'm in control. And yeah, ain't gonna happen. It's never going to happen for me. That's just kind of the drill. But we did win this war. We ended up dying 6 times. 5 of those deaths came in my battle group, and I think that 2 of them, or 3 of them, were kind of influenced by the issue that we had in Section 1. So it's unfortunate. Ultimately, you just roll with the punches, man. That's what you got to do. All right, so my fight record on the season is 19-1. We're 3-0 as an alliance, and we are going to start facing some top-tier alliances, I think, very soon. I have a feeling we're going to face probably SSX in our next war. It's just purely a guess, the way that I understand the matchmaking system, which might not be accurate, but I think we're going to probably face them next. So if that's the case and you want to see that video, subscribe so you can get notification and or see me on your YouTube homepage where you're scrolling through your videos. Leave a like and a comment if you want, and I will catch you in the next video.